Hello everybody, it's me, the Real Local Maniac. I'm back again with another 16-bit wars. And today, as you can see, I'll be playing Contra. Now the reason why I'm doing Contra is because recently I downloaded on the Xbox 360 Hardcore, which is basically the new Contra game. And that got me thinking of the classic 16-bit versions, which I'll be playing today. Incidentally, this one's called Contra Hardcore, which takes the name, well, like from the new one. Right, so both these games are amazing. Both these games are extremely tough, so you probably won't see me get very far in the actual game. Now, the Megadrive version, which I'm playing now, you've got a choice of, I think, 4 selectable characters. It's got some really nice music there. Now, basically, this game wowed us. It had graphics that you really didn't expect to see on the Sega Mega Drive. It had things rotating, it had loads of different explosions, and it was just a real major accomplishment, actually. I think this game came out towards the last few years of the Mega Drive's life, so they really pushed the Mega Drive to its limits. It's a great game, but really tough, like I said. So I'm going to go for the guy there. I'm not going to go for the werewolf guy, the woman, or the robot. I don't particularly like them. But this game is ultra tough, really tough. And it just made me forget how tough the game actually is, considering that you only get one hit and then you die. At least in the new Contra, you take a few hits until you die. But there's so much going on the screen, and the graphics are beautifully animated. Look at the main sprite there, it looks really good. It's really easy to control. But the thing that is hard is to try and avoid the bullets. And the music, guys, it's absolutely fantastic. Amazing music in this game. Like I said, it's going to be a tough 16-bit wars because both versions are absolutely superb. And if you haven't played either of them, you know, where have you been? They pretty much define what 16-bit gaming was all about. Now, that was a bit of skill there from me. I bet you thought I was going to die. Nope, not me. I'm the Real Local Maniac. No, I've got skill. Right, a few more hits and he should be dead. Yeah, I think that's him dead anyway. Again, look at that. Look at the whole building just toppling over. How amazing is that? And this is just the first level of the Mega Drive version. The music is absolutely phenomenal though, guys. Now, I do love the Contra series. The Contra series has been around since the arcade. It also came out on the 8-bit computers as Gryzor, came out on the 8-bit Nintendo. You know, it's been on loads of different systems. But my personal favourites are the 16-bit versions, which I'm playing today. I mean, look at the graphics on this. Absolutely phenomenal. And honestly, still playing this game to this day really just wows me by this. He's not too difficult. Basically, you just stand there in the middle, you should destroy him. Right, time to move on and beat the next guy. Just a thing I wanted to point out. The next version I'll be playing will be the Super Nintendo version, and on the Super Nintendo version, that did get ported to the Game Boy Advance. But rather than having the top-down scrolling section, it actually had levels from this game, so even though that version doesn't control very well, the Game Boy Advance version, it is worth checking out the way they combine both these games together. Alright, it's time for the big first baddie. The other guy that I killed was just like a mini boss type thing, halfway battle boss, whatever you want to call him. Wow, so I've got to destroy this guy here. It shouldn't be too difficult, there is a certain pattern. And yeah, guys, that's the other thing I want to mention as well. The question of the month for next month's podcast is, what is your favourite end-of-level guardian or end-of-level boss? Because I think bosses are important when it comes to a game. They've got to have something about them to make the game sort of work. So we've had some really interesting replies on the 1HMPS site, which we'll definitely talk about and mention. Some really great points. I'm really looking forward to actually reading those. Right, so let's basically destroy this guy here. I think that's him done. Oh crap, no he's not. He's sort of like... Look at that, the graphics in the background, how amazing is that? Alright, so anyway, that's the Mega Drive version. I'm not going to try and carry on any further because basically I'm going to die. Right guys, now this is the Super Nintendo version. Now I have been meaning to do the 16-bit wars for the last 4 or 5 days, maybe even more, but every time I recorded some footage I couldn't get very far. Now this was the first 16. Actually, this was the first 16-bit version I played, but I actually owned the Mega Drive version, well, console first, and because I always do Mega Drive to Super Nintendo, that's the reason why it basically follows after the Mega Drive version. But this did come out first, if that made any sense. Alright, so a nice little intro there. Some big sort of like monster. The Alien Wars. Begin. It's time for revenge. Let's attack aggressively. I'm doing my really bad gaming voice there. Contra, the Alien Wars. Now this is an absolutely fantastic game. Now I've had to put the level down to easy because after so many attempts I couldn't actually get any further than the first couple of screens because I kept on getting killed. Honestly, with these Contra games, it's like trying to avoid raindrops. You know, it's impossible basically. And again, the graphics look absolutely amazing. The music is so memorable in this game. Now don't get me wrong guys, I love the music on the Sega Mega Drive version. You know, it's absolutely amazing. But this is really memorable to me. I'll always remember this music. Alright, so graphically they're very, very similar. Because this came out a little bit beforehand, I think the graphics, you know, look a little bit more dull than they do on the Sega Mega Drive. But this still has some amazing tricks up its sleeve. Definitely. I mean, I love the explosions on this. And there's hardly ever, you know, any slowdown. Basically, with games like this, with anything with loads going on at the same time, the Mega Drive was slightly better because the Super Nintendo slowed down, but to be honest with you guys, I haven't really noticed any slowdown on this game. Now, familiar sort of like end of level thing there, that appears actually even in the new Contra game, and appeared in the first Contra game. I love the music in this, I love the sound effects, I love the look of this game. Now the Super Nintendo version, the one that I'm playing here, was the Japanese version and possibly the US version, but here in the UK basically it had a different name, and the two main human characters there got changed into robots, and the game wasn't Super Contra the Alien Wars, it was a Super Pro Protector. So you know, you got the words protector and robot combined, so that's where the word Pro Protector comes from. I don't know why they changed it, you know, what difference does it make, you know, that the main guys are humans or robots, but I prefer it with the humans. Right, got to be very, very careful here. Apparently I was reading somewhere that Konami, or Konami, whatever we want to call it, basically based these characters, or the series, on sort of like Aliens with the Marines and so on. Alright, so let's shoot this little fella in the tank. I love those smart bomb things. I couldn't even get past this guy when I was doing a normal level, by the way, guys. But like I said, it's going to be a tough 16-bit war, guys. Both games are absolutely phenomenal. Both are so memorable. You know, I've probably played the Super Nintendo version a lot more than the Sega Mega Drive version. I think I got the Mega Drive version on an import when I was a little bit older, when I was about 16, 17. I found it somewhere in a shop, and it was like an imported version. But the Super Nintendo version, wow, was probably one of the first few games I had. And it's a tough game, it really is tough. It hasn't gotten any easier over time. If anything, it's got tougher because my game playing skills have gone out the window. I mean, all this complete just blew me away, especially the bit when the aeroplane flew down and sort of just blew those things up. Alright, I'm nearly approaching the big baddie. And hopefully I can beat him. I have to be ever so careful. Now, I forgot to mention, both games are actually two-player games, and it does actually help to play it in two players, because obviously it makes it a lot easier with a friend. But still, this game is even tough, even with two players. Right, so while this big bad boss is coming out, I've got to think now, which version is going to win today's 16-bit wars? Both versions look amazing. Okay, like I said, the Mega Drive versions look slightly, you know, a little bit better, but that's because it came out a few years afterwards, and I like the colour scheme of the Mega Drive version a lot better as well. The sound effects, I'd go for the sound effects on the Super Nintendo version. Music, I've got to go for the Super Nintendo version, because it's amazing basically. Bosses, both games have got amazing bosses, but for some reason I find the bosses on the Super Nintendo version that little bit more memorable, and I'm dead. So let's choose a winner. The winner of today's 16-bit wars is the Super Nintendo version. See you next time. Goodbye.